The fluorescent lights hummed softly in the underground laboratory at Xi'an, where Dr. Li sat hunched over her computer, her coffee long forgotten and gone cold. It was just another Tuesday morning, or at least that's what she thought until her particle entanglement experiment showed something that made her nearly fall out of her chair. "This can't be right," she whispered, pushing her glasses up her nose and leaning closer to the screen. The quantum particles weren't just entangled. They were responding to her thoughts, shifting their positions as if dancing to the rhythm of her consciousness. She ran the experiment again, and again, and again. Each time, the results were the same. Her hands trembled as she realized what this meant. Human consciousness could exist in multiple states at once, just like quantum particles. It was as if someone had just discovered that humans could fly, except this was far more groundbreaking. Word spread through Xi'an like wildfire. Within hours, her small lab was packed with wide-eyed scientists, all staring at the data in disbelief. "Show us again," they kept saying, and each time she did, their amazement grew. The military arrived 3 days later. General Rodriguez walked into the lab like he owned it, his uniform crisp and his expression serious. "Dr. Lei," he said, "what you've discovered might be the greatest scientific breakthrough in human history. But it's also something else. It's our best chance at defending Earth." "Defending Earth?" Dr. Li looked confused. "From what?" The general pulled out a tablet and showed her classified satellite images. Strange signals had been detected at the edge of our solar system, signals that didn't match any known natural phenomenon. Something was out there watching us, and now we had a way to prepare. They moved her research to a secret facility deep in the mountains. The lab was bigger, better equipped, and filled with the brightest minds from around the world. They worked day and night, fueled by a mixture of excitement and fear. Dr. Li led the team, pushing the boundaries of what they thought possible. They discovered that when people focused together, the quantum effect grew stronger. It started small, making tiny particles exist in multiple places at once. Then they managed to do it with larger objects: a pencil, a book, a chair. Each success brought them closer to their ultimate goal, building a battleship that could exist in multiple places at the same time. The breakthrough came on a rainy Thursday night. Dr. Li and her team managed to create a stable field where consciousness could affect larger objects consistently. The military representatives watching the demonstration stood in stunned silence as they watched a car appear in 3 different places at once. "It's beautiful," Dr. Li said, watching the shimmering field around the car. "But it's also terrifying. We're about to change everything we know about reality." The general nodded, his face a mixture of awe and determination. "We're not just changing reality, Doctor. We're about to rewrite the rules of what's possible. The real question is, can we do it fast enough?" As if answering his question, the emergency sirens began to wail. The alien signals had changed. They were getting stronger, closer. Humanity's time to prepare was running out. Dr. Li looked at her team, then back at the shimmering car. "We'll make it work," she said firmly. "We have to. The entire human race is counting on us. They just don't know it yet." And so began the race to build humanity's first superposition battleship, a vessel that would make the impossible possible and show any watching aliens that humans were far more remarkable than they appeared. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, where snow-capped peaks touched the clouds, the world's greatest minds gathered in a facility so secret that even most world leaders didn't know it existed. The underground base buzzed with activity, its steel corridors echoing with urgent footsteps and excited conversations in dozens of languages. Dr. Li walked through these corridors with purpose, her lab coat swishing as she moved between groups of scientists and military personnel. The facility had grown rapidly over the past month, transforming from an abandoned Cold War bunker into humanity's most advanced research center. "The calculations are complete," announced Dr. Kumar, rushing up to her with a tablet in hand. His eyes sparkled with excitement behind his round glasses. "The quantum field can theoretically extend to cover something as large as a battleship. We just need to figure out how to power it." The main chamber was massive, carved right into the mountain itself. In its center stood the beginning of what would become the human superposition battleship. Right now, it looked more like a massive skeleton of steel and composite materials, surrounded by scaffolding and bright construction lights. General Rodriguez stood at the observation deck, watching the workers below. "How many people can maintain quantum superposition at once?" he asked as Dr. Lee joined him. "We've successfully tested groups of 5, she replied, looking down at the construction. "But to power something this big, we'll need at least 50 people working in perfect harmony. It's like asking 50 people to dream the exact same dream at the same time." The challenges seemed endless. The ship needed to be strong enough to withstand space travel, yet flexible enough to exist in multiple states. The crew would need to maintain intense mental focus for hours while executing complex military maneuvers. One small break in concentration could collapse the quantum field. But the humans didn't give up. They worked around the clock, fueled by determination and countless cups of coffee. Engineers from rival countries worked side by side, sharing secrets they would have died to protect just months ago. The approaching alien threat had done something remarkable. It had united humanity in ways no one thought possible. A breakthrough came when a young physicist from Brazil suggested using meditation techniques to help crews maintain their focus. They brought in meditation masters from Tibet who worked alongside neuroscientists to develop training programs for the future crew. "Watch this," Dr. Lee said one evening, gathering everyone in the main chamber. She and 4 other scientists stood in a circle around a small model of the battleship. As they concentrated together, the model began to shift and blur, existing in 3 different locations at once. The crowd gasped. Someone dropped their coffee cup, the crash echoing through the sudden silence. "Now imagine this effect with 50 trained crew members," Dr. Lee continued, her voice filled with quiet pride. "The full-size battleship won't just exist in 3 places, it could potentially exist in dozens of places simultaneously. The aliens won't know where to aim, because everywhere and nowhere will be the right target." The project, officially named Genesis, entered its final phase. The ship's hull was completed, its systems tested and retested. Training facilities were built where crew candidates practiced maintaining quantum fields together for increasingly longer periods. One morning, as the sun rose behind the Alps, General Rodriguez stood before the assembled team. 3 months ago, this was impossible, he said, gesturing to the gleaming battleship behind him. 3 months ago, we were just ordinary humans afraid of what might come from the stars. But look what we've accomplished together." He paused, looking at each person in the crowd. "We've taken the strangest quirk of quantum physics and turned it into humanity's shield. We've proven that when humans work together, nothing is impossible. The aliens think they're coming to find an easy target. Instead, they're going to find something they've never seen before, human ingenuity at its finest." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices echoing off the mountain walls. Above them, through the massive window cut into the rock, the stars twinkled in the early morning sky. Somewhere out there, the aliens were approaching. But now, humanity was ready to show them something truly extraordinary. Nobody expected it to happen during lunch break. The Deep Space Monitoring Station in Hawaii was half empty, with most of the staff enjoying their sandwiches in the break room. That's when the computers started beeping like crazy. The young operator nearly choked on his noodles as he stared at the screen. At first, he thought it was a glitch. The readings were unlike anything he'd ever seen. But as more data poured in, his hands began to shake. He reached for the red phone, the one they were never supposed to use unless. Within minutes, every major observatory on Earth confirmed it. A massive fleet of unknown vessels had just appeared near Jupiter's orbit. They were huge, each ship bigger than anything humans had ever built, and they were moving with impossible precision, like a swarm of deadly space wasps heading straight for Earth. The news spread through government channels first. Emergency meetings were called in every major capital. Presidents and prime ministers were woken from their sleep. In the Swiss facility, General Rodriguez was staring at the live feed with Dr. Lee and the rest of the team. "Look at how they move," Dr. Lee whispered, pointing at the screen. The alien ships shifted positions in perfect formation, leaving trails of strange energy that our instruments could barely detect. "Their technology, it's beyond anything we imagined." As if to prove her point, 3 small alien probe ships suddenly appeared in Earth's atmosphere. Military bases worldwide scrambled their jets, but it was like trying to catch shadows. The probes moved too fast, too smoothly. They effortlessly dodged every missile, every attack. Then the probes started testing our defenses. A small military base in the desert just vanished. There 1 second, gone the next. No explosion, no sound, just an empty crater where buildings and people used to be. The world watched in horror through leaked videos and social media posts. Panic spread like wildfire. Cities emptied as people fled to the countryside. The streets of New York, Tokyo, and London became eerily quiet. Everyone had seen the movies about alien invasions, but this was different. This was real. Our regular weapons are useless, General Rodriguez announced to the team in the underground facility. The probes aren't just advanced. They're operating on principles we barely understand. Except, he turned to look at the nearly completed human superposition battleship, its hull gleaming under the bright lights. Except for this, we're the only ones who've managed to create something that might surprise them. The team worked faster than ever, fueled by a mixture of fear and determination. They skipped safety protocols, worked double shifts, did anything to speed up the completion of humanity's only hope. The aliens seemed to be taking their time, methodically testing Earth's defenses, but everyone knew the real attack could come any day. Dr. Lee and her quantum physics team made a startling discovery during their final tests. The alien ships, she explained to the general, they're using some kind of advanced technology to stay perfectly coordinated. But our quantum superposition might actually interfere with their systems. We won't just be hard to hit, we might confuse their entire fleet. The probes continued their tests, appearing randomly around the globe. Traditional military responses became increasingly desperate. Fighter jets scrambled uselessly, missile systems remained untouched in their silos. Everyone knew they would be useless. Then came the message. Not in words or pictures, but in pure mathematics, broadcast on all frequencies. The aliens were telling us they were coming. Not asking, not threatening, simply informing Earth that its time of isolation was over. In the facility, Dr. Lee looked at the nearly finished battleship. "We're not ready," she said quietly. "We needed more time." General Rodriguez put a hand on her shoulder. "Ready or not, they're coming. And we're going to show them something they've never seen before. Humans who can fight back in ways they never expected." Above them, through the armored glass ceiling, the stars seemed to shine a little dimmer, as if they too were holding their breath, waiting to see what would happen when humanity's quantum surprise met the alien armada. Finding the right crew for the human superposition battleship wasn't like normal military recruitment. They couldn't just pick the strongest or the smartest. They needed people whose minds could bend reality itself. In a converted meditation center high in the mountains, hundreds of candidates sat in perfect silence. Scientists moved between them, checking readings on specialized quantum resonance meters. Most people barely registered on the scales. But every now and then, someone would make the needles jump off the charts. "It's like looking for natural musicians," Dr. Lee explained to General Rodriguez as they watched the testing. "Some people just have an instinct for it. We found that artists, musicians, and long-time meditation practitioners often show the highest quantum resonance scores." The training was unlike anything ever attempted before. The chosen crew members had to learn to exist in multiple states of consciousness while staying completely focused. It was like trying to solve a complex math problem while dreaming and staying aware of both states at once. One candidate stood out from the rest, Lieutenant Zhang, a pilot with a background in classical piano. When she underwent the quantum resonance tests, she didn't just make the needles move, she broke the machine. More importantly, she could maintain her quantum state longer than anyone else. "How do you do it?" other candidates would ask her during breaks. "I imagine I'm playing a piano piece in multiple keys at once," she'd explain, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Each version is different but perfectly valid. The trick is accepting that they're all real at the same time." The training facility looked more like a cross between a space center and a yoga retreat. In one room, potential crew members practiced maintaining quantum states while running combat simulations. In another, they learned to synchronize their consciousness with each other, creating shared quantum fields that could bend reality around them. Not everyone could handle it. Some of the toughest soldiers struggled to grasp the concept of quantum existence. Others excelled at the mental aspects but couldn't handle the physical strain of maintaining multiple states. Each dropout was a reminder of just how challenging their task was. The breakthrough came during a group exercise. Lieutenant Zheng was working with a team of 5 others when something clicked. Their quantum fields didn't just overlap, they synchronized perfectly. The entire room seemed to shimmer, and for a brief moment, everyone in it existed in 3 different places at once. "That's what we need," Dr. Lee said excitedly, reviewing the data. "Not just individual skill, but perfect team harmony. The battleship won't be powered by a single consciousness, it needs to be a symphony of minds working together." The final crew selection was based on more than just ability. They needed people who could work together seamlessly, who could trust each other completely. The chosen 50 came from all walks of life: pilots, musicians, monks, mathematicians, and more. What united them was their extraordinary ability to grasp the impossible. Training intensified as news of the alien fleet's approach grew more urgent. The crew practiced in simulators designed to replicate the mental strain of quantum navigation. They learned to maintain their focus through simulated battles, equipment failures, and emergency scenarios. Remember, Lieutenant Zheng would tell her teammates during particularly tough sessions, "We're not just learning to fight. We're learning to rewrite the rules of reality itself. The aliens might have advanced technology, but we have something they've never seen before: human consciousness operating beyond the bounds of normal physics." In the final days of training, the crew gathered in the actual battleship for the first time. As they sat at their stations, there was a sense of destiny in the air. These 50 individuals, chosen from all corners of Earth, were about to attempt something that had never been done before. "Look around," General Rodriguez said during their final briefing. "You're not just soldiers anymore. You're pioneers of human consciousness, about to take our species' first steps into a realm of existence we barely understand. The aliens think they know what humans are capable of. You're going to show them just how wrong they are." Launch day arrived with a mixture of tension and hope. The underground hangar hummed with activity as final checks were completed on humanity's most ambitious project. The battleship, now named Quantum Dawn, gleamed under the bright lights, its hull shimmering with a faint, otherworldly glow from the quantum field generators. Lieutenant Zheng walked through the ship's corridors, touching the walls gently as she made her way to the bridge. Her crew of 50 followed their own preparation routines. Some meditated in their quarters, others went through mental exercises they'd practiced countless times. The weight of humanity's hopes rested on their shoulders, but they'd trained for this moment. "All systems check complete," announced the chief engineer through the ship's communication system. His voice carried the same nervous excitement everyone felt. "Quantum field generators are stable. We're as ready as we'll ever be." Dr. Lee stood in the control room, surrounded by screens showing data from every part of the ship. She barely slept in days, making sure everything was perfect. "Remember," she spoke into the microphone, addressing the crew, "the ship will respond to your collective consciousness. You're not just operating it, you're becoming one with it." The launch countdown began. In the ship's meditation chamber, 40 of the crew members sat in concentric circles, their minds already starting to synchronize. On the bridge, Lieutenant Zheng and 9 others took their positions, ready to guide the ship's quantum state while maintaining normal operations. "Quantum Dawn, you are cleared for launch." General Rodriguez's voice came through clear and strong. "Show them what humanity can do." The massive hangar doors above began to open, revealing a slice of starry sky. The crew's heartbeats synchronized naturally as they initiated the quantum field. The ship's hull began to shimmer more intensely, and reality itself seemed to bend around them. Then it happened. For the first time in human history, an object the size of a battleship existed in multiple states at once. The observers in the control room gasped as they saw 3 distinct versions of Quantum Dawn, each as real as the other, occupying the same space yet somehow separate. "Quantum field stable," Lieutenant Zheng reported, her voice steady despite the extraordinary sensation of existing in multiple places at once. "Beginning ascent." The ship rose smoothly, all 3 versions moving in perfect harmony. As they emerged from the hangar, the crew felt a moment of collective awe. The Alps spread out below them, moonlight gleaming off the snow, while above, the stars beckoned. But they weren't alone up there. The alien fleet, now closer than ever, had detected their launch. Strange energy readings appeared on their sensors. The aliens were trying to lock onto them to understand what they were seeing. "They're confused," Dr. Lee's excited voice came through the comm system. Their sensors can't make sense of your quantum state. You're literally breaking their understanding of physics. The ship climbed higher, pushing through the atmosphere. The crew maintained their focus, 50 minds working as one to keep the quantum field stable. Each person could feel their consciousness stretched across multiple realities, yet somehow it felt natural now, like remembering different versions of the same dream. As they reached orbit, Earth hanging like a blue jewel below them, the alien fleet's reaction became clear. Their perfect formation wavered for the first time. Probe ships approached cautiously, then pulled back, unable to get reliable readings on what they were seeing. "Look at that," Lieutenant Zhang whispered, watching the alien ship's erratic movements. "They've never seen anything like us before." In the control room, humans hugged and cheered. Their crazy idea had worked. The most advanced alien fleet ever encountered was baffled by human ingenuity and the power of human consciousness. "This is just the beginning," General Rodriguez said, pride evident in his voice. "You've proven that humanity can do the impossible. Now, let's show these aliens what else we can do." The quantum dawn hung in space, existing in multiple states, a testament to human determination and creativity. Above them, the alien fleet faced something they'd never encountered in all their travels, a species that could bend reality itself through the power of their minds. The first battle between humans and aliens began not with a bang, but with a dance. The alien fleet launched their initial attack, firing weapons that looked like streams of liquid light. But hitting the quantum dawn was like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. It was there, but not there, existing in multiple places at once. Lieutenant Zhang watched from all three versions of the bridge as the alien weapons passed harmlessly through empty space. "Keep the quantum field stable," she reminded her crew, her voice calm despite the spectacular light show outside. "Let them waste their energy while we learn their patterns." The alien ships moved with incredible speed and precision, their formation shifting like a flock of metallic birds. They tried everything: energy beams, gravity weapons, even some kind of space-bending technology that would have torn a normal ship apart. But you can't tear apart something that exists in multiple realities at once. "They're getting frustrated," reported one of the sensor operators, grinning. "Their attacks are becoming less coordinated. I don't think they've ever had to fight something they couldn't even properly target before." In the meditation chamber, 40 crew members maintained their deep focus, their shared consciousness keeping the ship in its quantum state. Some were sweating from the mental effort, but none showed signs of breaking concentration. They trained for this, prepared for this moment when humanity would prove itself against the impossible. The aliens tried a new tactic, surrounding what they thought was the quantum dawn's position. But as their ships moved in for the kill, they found themselves shooting at empty space, or worse, accidentally firing at each other as the human ship shifted between realities. "Now it's our turn," Lieutenant Zhang announced. She and her bridge crew had been studying the alien ship's movements, looking for patterns, weaknesses. "Begin the quantum dance." The quantum dawn started moving in ways that should have been impossible. While existing in 3 places at once, it began performing complex maneuvers that took advantage of its unique state. The aliens couldn't predict where it would be because it was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. From Earth, anyone watching through telescopes saw something amazing: a lone human ship making the most advanced alien fleet in known space look clumsy and confused. The aliens' perfect formation had dissolved into chaos as they tried to deal with a threat that broke all their rules of warfare. "Look at their energy readings," Dr. Lee's excited voice came through the comm system from Earth. "Every time they try to lock onto one version of our ship, it disrupts their systems. They're literally fighting against their own technology." The crew felt a surge of pride. Here they were, 50 humans with a crazy idea about quantum physics, giving an advanced alien civilization their first taste of defeat. It wasn't just the technology, it was human creativity and determination that made it possible. One particularly large alien ship, possibly their flagship, moved forward to take direct action. It charged up what looked like a massive energy weapon, probably capable of destroying a small moon. The crew of the Quantum Dawn watched calmly as the weapon fired, and hit nothing but empty space, the beam passing through all 3 quantum positions of the ship at once. The recoil from the massive weapon sent the alien ship spinning, its perfect control disrupted by its own failed attack. "Their technology is amazing," Lieutenant Zhang observed, "but they don't understand what they're fighting. They're trying to use normal physics against a ship that isn't playing by those rules." The battle continued, but it was clear the aliens were losing their confidence. Their attacks became more desperate, less coordinated. They'd never encountered a species that could manipulate reality itself, and they had no protocol for dealing with it. In the control room back on Earth, General Rodriguez watched the battle with a proud smile. "Look at that," he said to Dr. Lee. "We didn't just give them a fight, we're actually teaching them something new about what's possible in this universe." The Quantum Dawn continued its impossible dance through space, proving with every movement that humanity had just changed the rules of cosmic warfare forever. The aliens were about to learn an important lesson: never underestimate a species that can turn its dreams into reality. As the battle continued in space, something unexpected happened. A young crew member in the meditation chamber suddenly opened her eyes. "Lieutenant," she called through the ship's comm system, "I can see them. Not just their ships, I can see them." The entire crew felt it too. Their quantum state wasn't just helping them dodge attacks, it was letting them perceive reality in a whole new way. Through their shared consciousness, they could actually see the aliens' dimensional signatures, like watching ripples in a cosmic pond. Lieutenant Zhang leaned forward in her command chair, her eyes widening as the new information flooded her senses. "They're not just using advanced technology," she said, excitement creeping into her voice. "They're manipulating space-time itself for their movements, but they're doing it rigidly, like they're following a rulebook." Dr. Lee's voice crackled over the comm from Earth Control. "What do you mean? What are you seeing?" "It's like..." Lieutenant Zhang paused, searching for the right words. "It's like they're playing chess, but we're playing dance. They're following strict patterns, but we're flowing freely between states. Their technology is amazing, but they use it like machines, not like living beings." The crew's shared consciousness revealed more with each passing moment. They could see how the alien ships created tiny folds in space to move quickly, how they generated energy fields for their weapons. But everything was programmed, predetermined, lacking the fluid adaptability of human consciousness. "Their weakness is their perfection," one of the bridge officers realized. "They're so advanced that they've forgotten how to improvise, how to think outside their own rules." The Quantum Dawn's crew began to experiment, using their new understanding. They didn't just exist in multiple states now, they started shifting between states in ways that actively disrupted the aliens' space-time manipulations. It was like throwing pebbles into a perfect pond, sending ripples that messed up the aliens' carefully calculated movements. Back on Earth, scientists watched in amazement as their instruments picked up the effects. The aliens' seemingly invincible technology was being countered by something they'd never expected: the unpredictable, creative power of human consciousness. "Do you understand what this means?" Dr. Lee asked excitedly, speaking to both the crew and the control room staff. "We haven't just found a way to defend ourselves. We've discovered that human consciousness itself is more powerful than we ever imagined. We're not just operating advanced technology, we're actually perceiving and influencing the fabric of reality." The alien fleet's perfectly synchronized movements became increasingly erratic. Every time they tried to establish a pattern, the Quantum Dawn's crew would shift their consciousness in new ways, disrupting the very space-time fields the aliens relied on. "They're not used to this," Lieutenant Zhang observed. "Their technology is incredible, but it's like they've forgotten that the universe isn't just about following perfect patterns. Sometimes it's about embracing chaos, about feeling the moment and flowing with it." In the meditation chamber, the crew members maintained their focus with renewed energy. Each of them could feel how their combined consciousness was affecting the space around them. It wasn't just about making the ship exist in multiple places anymore, they were actually learning to see and touch the underlying structure of reality itself. "Look at their ship formations," one of the bridge officers pointed out. "They're starting to give us more space. They're learning. They're actually learning from us." It was true. The alien fleet's aggressive approach had changed to something more cautious, more respectful. They'd come expecting to find primitive beings playing with technology they barely understood. Instead, they'd found humans doing something their advanced civilization had never even considered, using consciousness itself to dance between the layers of reality. Dr. Lee's voice came through again, filled with wonder. We didn't just create a defense against their technology. We've shown them a whole new way of looking at the universe. This isn't just a victory for Earth, it's a breakthrough for all intelligent life. The tide of battle had turned in a way nobody expected. The alien fleet, which had arrived with such overwhelming confidence, was now struggling to maintain its formation. Their perfectly coordinated attack patterns fell apart every time they encountered the Quantum Dawn's unpredictable quantum shifts. They're trying to recalibrate their weapons, reported one of the bridge officers, watching the alien ship's erratic movements. But every time they think they've figured us out, we shift into a new state they didn't expect. Lieutenant Zhang stood at her command station, feeling the pulse of the ship through the quantum field. The crew's shared consciousness had become stronger than ever, allowing them to move the ship with the natural flow of thought rather than mechanical commands. Their flagship is pulling back, another officer called out. Look at their energy readings. They're completely confused by what we're doing. It's like they're second-guessing every move now. The alien fleet's formation, once as precise as a mathematical equation, had devolved into chaos. Some ships tried to maintain their original attack patterns, while others attempted to adapt to the Quantum Dawn's fluid movements. The result was a spectacular display of advanced technology working against itself. Back on Earth, Mission Control erupted in celebration as they watched the battle unfold. Decades of being afraid of superior alien technology were being washed away by the sight of human innovation turning the tables. It's not just that we're winning, Dr. Lee explained to General Rodriguez as they watched the feeds. We're completely changing their understanding of what's possible. Every move our ship makes shows them something their advanced civilization never imagined. The Quantum Dawn's crew took their advantage further, experimenting with new ways to use their quantum state. They discovered they could create temporary quantum echoes, making the aliens waste massive amounts of energy attacking after images while the real ship was elsewhere. Their whole battle strategy is falling apart, Lieutenant Zhang observed. They came here expecting to find primitive beings with simple weapons. Instead, they found humans who can bend reality itself. We're not just defending Earth, we're showing them that technology isn't everything. The alien fleet's coordinated attacks became increasingly desperate. Their weapons, designed to target ships in normal space, proved useless against a vessel that could exist in multiple quantum states at once. Each failed attack seemed to shake their confidence further. In the meditation chamber, the crew maintained their focus with renewed energy. They could feel the shift in the battle's momentum, not through their instruments, but through their shared consciousness. The aliens' confusion was almost tangible in the quantum field. They're starting to break formation, announced one of the sensor operators. The smaller ships are pulling back. Their energy signatures are changing. I think they're actually powering down their weapons. The crew watched in amazement as the alien fleet began to retreat. Their perfect geometric formations had dissolved completely, replaced by what looked almost like a defensive posture. The mighty armada that had approached Earth with such overwhelming force was now backing away from a single human ship. This is more than just a tactical victory, Dr. Lee's voice came through the comm system. We've shown them something that challenges their entire understanding of the universe. They thought they knew everything about space warfare, but we just proved that consciousness and creativity can overcome even the most advanced technology. The Quantum Dawn held its position, all three quantum states maintaining a steady presence as the alien fleet withdrew. There was no pursuit, no final attack, none was needed. The message had been sent, humanity was not to be underestimated. In the control room on Earth, General Rodriguez smiled proudly. They came here thinking they'd find easy prey, he said. Instead, they found out that humans can do something their advanced civilization never even dreamed of. We didn't just defend ourselves, we changed their view of what's possible. The aliens' strategic defeat marked humanity's first major victory against a technologically superior force, proving that the power of human consciousness and creativity could overcome even the most advanced alien technology. As the alien fleet retreated beyond Neptune's orbit, the Earth held its collective breath. The Quantum Dawn maintained its position, its crew still united in their shared consciousness, watching as their unexpected victory unfolded into something even more remarkable. Strange signals began flooding Earth's communication systems. Unlike the threatening mathematical messages from before, these were different, complex patterns of light and energy that seemed to pulse with curiosity and respect. "They're trying to talk to us," Dr. Lee announced, her voice filled with wonder as she studied the incoming data. But not just with words or numbers. They're attempting to communicate on a quantum level, inspired by what they've seen us do. Lieutenant Zhang and her crew felt it through their quantum field, subtle vibrations in reality itself, like ripples in a cosmic pond. Through their shared consciousness, they could sense the aliens' attempt to reach out, to understand this new thing they'd discovered in humanity. "It's beautiful," one of the crew members whispered. "They're not angry about losing. They're excited about learning something new." The scientists on Earth worked around the clock to decode the alien messages. Slowly, patterns emerged. The aliens weren't just retreating, they were inviting dialogue. They wanted to understand how humans had developed this unique ability to manipulate quantum states through consciousness. "We didn't just win a battle," General Rodriguez said during the global broadcast announcing the alien withdrawal. "We've opened a door to something bigger. Our greatest defense turned out to be our humanity itself, our ability to think creatively, to push beyond what seems possible." The Quantum Dawn's success sparked a worldwide revolution in human consciousness research. Scientists who had dismissed meditation and consciousness studies as soft science now scrambled to understand how 50 humans had managed to unite their minds to bend reality itself. In the weeks that followed, more alien signals arrived, each more complex than the last. They weren't threats anymore, they were requests for exchange. The advanced civilization that had come to conquer was now asking to learn from the species they'd once considered primitive. "They've been exploring space for thousands of years," Dr. Lee explained during a conference, "mastering technology we can barely imagine. But in all that time, they never considered that consciousness itself could be the key to understanding the universe's deepest mysteries." The crew of the Quantum Dawn became humanity's heroes, but they remained humble. "We just showed what humans can do when we work together," Lieutenant Zhang said in her only public interview. "When we unite our minds, our consciousness, we can achieve things that even the most advanced technology can't match." Training centers for quantum consciousness began opening around the world. The meditation techniques used by the Quantum Dawn's crew became the foundation for a new field of study, one that combined ancient wisdom about consciousness with cutting-edge quantum physics. The aliens established a permanent observation post near Jupiter, maintaining a respectful distance while continuing their quantum communications. Each exchange brought new insights for both species. Humanity learned about advanced technology, while the aliens learned about the power of consciousness and creative thinking. "This is how first contact should be," Dr. Lee said during the one-year anniversary celebration. "Not through war, but through mutual discovery. We taught them about the power of human consciousness, and they're teaching us about the wonders of the universe." The Quantum Dawn remained Earth's guardian, its crew continuing to explore the possibilities of united human consciousness. But now they weren't just defending Earth, they were pioneering humanity's first steps into a larger cosmic community. The aliens came looking for conquest, General Rodriguez reflected during the anniversary ceremony, but they found something far more valuable, a reminder that the universe still holds mysteries that even the most advanced civilizations haven't solved. And sometimes the key to those mysteries lies not in technology, but in the simple wonder of human consciousness. As Earth entered this new era, one thing became clear: humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or technology, but in its ability to dream, to imagine, and to turn the impossible into reality.